It was a Saturday afternoon at Denver International Airport and the concourse was teeming with passengers. The usual din of rolling luggage, overhead announcements, and shuffling shoes filled the air. Somewhere between Gate B32 and the baggage claim, travelers from all over the country streamed into the cavernous terminal, each caught in their own orbit, some weary, some impatient, others excited to reunite with loved ones or begin their weekends. Among them moved a man named Judge Elias Mercer. 60 years old and still carrying himself with the grace and precision of his early years, Judge Mercer was fresh off a flight from Washington, D.C., where he had spent 3 grueling days attending a judicial ethics conference. His movements were steady and unhurried as he merged into the flow of foot traffic. There was nothing hurried or boastful about him, just a quiet, dignified presence that naturally commanded attention, even from strangers. He wore a navy blue suit that had not picked up a single wrinkle during the flight, a pressed white shirt, and a crimson silk tie that hinted at the refined taste of someone who understood tradition. In one hand, he carried a black alligator briefcase. His other hand occasionally dipped into his coat pocket to check his phone for messages from his wife or Chambers. His polished black shoes reflected the terminal's overhead lights as he walked toward the escalators with the poise of a man who had made a career out of deliberate decisions. At that very moment, on the far side of the arrivals terminal, 2 airport officers were stationed at a nondescript patrol desk. Officer Brian Kessler, a grizzled white man in his mid-50s with a belly that hung over his belt and eyes that radiated perpetual suspicion, leaned against the wall sipping lukewarm coffee. Next to him stood Officer Tyler Crenshaw, younger by almost 30 years and still green enough to believe that protocol mattered more than bravado. He kept his eyes alert, scanning the passing crowd like he'd been trained, but glanced over occasionally to see if Kessler would offer pointers or corrections. Just then, a soft ping came from the mounted tablet on their squad kiosk, a new message from dispatch. Kessler shifted lazily and tapped the screen. A general alert popped up. Security notice, Gate B32, possible drug courier, black male, dark suit. Subject may be in possession of undeclared controlled substances. Patrol advised to question any matching individual. There was no photograph, no detailed description. Just an assumption cloaked in vague language and preliminary intelligence. A loose profile, the kind that offered a green light to those looking for an excuse. Kessler read it, and something almost gleeful curled at the corners of his lips. He didn't need much more. His eyes scanned the crowd until they fell on Judge Mercer, walking with purpose and pride. The judge's appearance, a well-dressed, older black man with a sharp briefcase and crisp posture, triggered a deep bias in Kessler, one he didn't bother masking. "Hey, Crenshaw," he muttered, nudging the younger man. "Take a look at that guy. Black guy. Tailored suit. Could be your guy." Crenshaw hesitated. "He looks, I don't know, sir. Kind of official. Doesn't exactly scream mule." Kessler scoffed. "Exactly the type that slips under the radar. These big shots think they're too slick to get caught. Trust me, I've seen it." Crenshaw nodded, suppressing his doubts. The order was given and rookie loyalty runs deep. The 2 men peeled away from their post and closed the distance quickly. Judge Mercer had just reached the edge of the escalator when Kessler stepped directly in his path. "Sir," Kessler barked, adopting a pseudo-official tone. "Airport police. We need a moment of your time." Judge Mercer slowed to a stop, slightly raising an eyebrow but remaining composed. "Is there a problem?" "We received an alert," Crenshaw chimed in, a little too quickly. "That matches your description. Would you mind answering a few questions?" The judge looked from one man to the other, measuring the situation. He spoke evenly. "What exactly am I being questioned about?" Kessler crossed his arms. "Possible narcotics transport. Just need to verify a few things. Identification, your purpose of travel, that sort of thing." A ripple of disbelief passed across Mercer's face, but he remained calm. "That's a very serious allegation to make based on." "What?" "My appearance." "It's standard procedure," Kessler snapped. "You fit the profile. We're following protocol." Without argument, Mercer slowly reached into his briefcase, withdrew his wallet, and handed over his identification. Kessler glanced at the license. "Elias Mercer. Fancy name. What do you do, Mr. Mercer?" "I'm a federal judge," he replied flatly. "United States Court of Appeals." Kessler laughed out loud, a derisive snort that turned heads nearby. "Right. Sure you are. Everyone's a judge until we check their bags. Crenshaw looked uneasy, glancing from the license to Mercer, then to his partner. Mercer's eyes hardened. I suggest you either call your supervisor or let me be on my way. This stop is already inappropriate if not illegal. The word illegal hit Kessler like a slap. His face darkened, his composure cracking. Listen here, pal, he barked, stepping forward. You can drop the courtroom act. You people love to dress up and act like you're something you're not. But you're not fooling me. The racism, thinly veiled at first, was now out in the open. Crenshaw's hands twitched at his sides. I'm done playing nice, Kessler growled. Put your hands behind your back. You're under suspicion, and I'm not going to ask again. This is unlawful, Mercer said, voice rising now. You have no probable cause, no warrant. But before he could finish, Crenshaw lunged forward to seize his wrist. Reflexively, Mercer jerked away. The movement was automatic, defensive, but Kessler pounced on it. He's resisting. Kessler bellowed. What followed was a violent, chaotic scuffle that had no place in a civilized society, let alone a public terminal. Phones came out. Passengers gasped. A man in his 60s, a federal judge, is tackled, restrained, and cuffed as if he were a dangerous felon. His briefcase spilled open. His tie was torn. The cold metal dug into his wrists. Still, Mercer did not scream. He did not cry. He merely stared at the floor, his heart burning not just from humiliation but from the knowledge that this was not a mistake. This was America working as it was designed to work for men who looked like Kessler. Got anything to say now, Judge? Kessler sneered. Let's see how you act down at the station. Mercer inhaled once, twice. Then quietly, yes. I do have something to say. He raised his head and met Kessler's eyes. My name is Judge Elias Mercer. I sit on the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. And what you've just done will be the last arrest you ever make. A silence fell. Even Crenshaw froze. Kessler blinked. You what? I'm a federal judge, you ignorant fool, Mercer repeated, louder this time. Kessler's smirk faltered. Then it vanished altogether. Color drained from his face. Crenshaw took a step back as though he just touched fire. The murmurs of the surrounding passengers grew louder. People began whispering, connecting dots, realizing this wasn't just another random stop gone wrong. Then came the sound of authority. Report, a woman's voice demanded. Lieutenant Dana Hall, the supervising officer on duty, marched over, her eyes scanning the scene. She saw Kessler. She saw Crenshaw. She saw a disheveled, handcuffed black man whose very posture radiated dignity. Who authorized this? She asked sharply. Kessler's voice caught in his throat. Oh, we were following a dispatch. There was hey, fit the profile. Mercer, calm but seething, looked at her. Lieutenant, I am Judge Elias Mercer. I demand the immediate release of these handcuffs and a full internal investigation. Lieutenant Hall didn't need to ask for ID. She'd heard of him. She'd seen him at briefings. She looked back at the officers. Uncuff him. Now. Crenshaw scrambled for the key. His hands shook. He fumbled with the lock. It took several tries before the cuffs fell away. I want a private room, Mercer said, rubbing his wrists. I'm making a formal statement. I want the footage from both of their body cameras preserved, and I will personally file a misconduct report. Lieutenant Hall nodded. Yes, Your Honor. Right away. She turned to Kessler and Crenshaw, her voice ice. Badge. Gun. ID. You're both suspended pending investigation. Kessler muttered something under his breath. Save it, she snapped. You just tackled a sitting federal judge in front of 50 witnesses. You're lucky if you walk out of here without a lawsuit or worse. Mercer was escorted to a private room. By Monday, the footage was all over the legal world. By Wednesday, Kessler and Crenshaw were out of jobs. By Friday, Kessler was served with papers. Judge Mercer's personal lawsuit for violation of civil rights, emotional distress, and unlawful detainment. The world would spin on, but their careers would not. And the judge returned to his courtroom, his robes slightly heavier now. Not from the fabric, but from the responsibility he carried for everyone who would not have been believed, and for everyone who didn't have a robe to protect them.